I'm almost 50, strong, clear, energized. Training hard, living clean, fully alive. But it didn't start here. 30 years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I felt hopeless. But I chose a different path. No meds, just science, discipline, and results. Now I'm symptom-free and asking the tough questions that move us all forward. This is Hope and Health. Let's go. I'm excited to welcome Larry Powalisz, diagnosed with MS in 2021. Larry was told he might be in a wheelchair within 5 years. Determined to change his path, he underwent autologous hematopoietic stem cell transplantation, AHSCT, in Mexico. Now, more than 2 years in remission, Larry shares how this life-changing treatment halted the progression of his disease. We also discuss how Larry plans to heal his drop foot, something I know many of you want to know more about. If you're curious about alternative treatments or how to transform your MS journey, this episode is for you. Okay, Larry, thank you so much for joining us today. For me, your story is incredible and one of the most important stories that our MS community needs to listen to, because not only have you advocated for yourself and gone above and beyond to find what treatments and therapies are going to work for you, but you're also working to help our community. You've established your own charity and you're out there fighting every single day to make things happen. Larry, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Matt. I appreciate it greatly. Like I say, the same thing about you. You've done so much for the MS community. It's amazing.
Larry, let's start with your story. Let's go right back to the beginning, how you got diagnosed, what happened, and how you got after it.
Okay, fair. So really it started 20 years before I was diagnosed. My left hand was going numb and they told me I had bone spur in my neck, and that was their answer. It was wrong. And I just lived with it and just said, okay, I just have some neck problem. 3.5 years ago, I got to where my left side was getting paralyzed and I was getting like blurry thinking. I couldn't focus. So I went to a neurologist and they diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. The only choice they had for me, the only thing they offered me was Ocrevus. They did not give me any other possibility at all. Said, you need to get on Ocrevus, you're going to start it within a week. They gave me a brochure. I read the brochure and I'm like, no way. This is like a poison. Okay, so I said, I'm not going to do Ocrevus. I'll do my own research. And actually, I started doing everything. I looked at your documented living proof and saw CCSDI, SVI choice. So I actually scheduled to get that done in Ohio, had that treatment done. I got better, but I still had fogginess. It only helped me for about 3 months where I was somewhat better. So I kept doing my own research. One of our friends in Ohio had talked about HSCT for MS, and I looked into it, and it was the best chance of me getting repaired, to remove the MS. So I scheduled Mexico. I went, I wish I'd have gone sooner, but I went a year after being diagnosed. And when I went there, I went to Monterey with 3 other women were there getting the same treatment. One was actually paralyzed. She was at a 6.5 EDFS score, meaning that she was arms and legs she couldn't speak. In the middle of the treatment, she started talking and her husband said, oh my gosh, she won't shut up. I said, what do you expect? She couldn't talk for 4 years. Of course she's going to start talking now, right? And she stood to get into the vehicle the last time we're doing our treatments. Now I'm still in contact with 2 of the 3 women that went with me. One in the UK. She had very similar symptoms to me. She's had 2 MRI tests, no new lesions. The one, Shaggy, the one out of the Netherlands that was paralyzed, she can now walk for 5 minutes at a time. So it definitely improves your EDS score. It won't remove I still have dropping foot. I still have 2 problems with nerve damage from my calf and my hip flexors. And I'm still working on it. I'm still going to repair that. I'm bound. I'm going to find a way to repair that. Okay. So, HSCT, and we now call it AHSCT. That's what I'm doing with my clinic, and I'll explain that.
Yeah.
So because it's your own stem cells, it's AHSCT. Okay, and people think what that means is we're using your stem cells to remove the MS. That's not what it is. It's chemotherapy that is actually removing your immune system. And the reason we need your stem cells like taken out, stored away, and then put back in is to repair that immune system. So you don't have to wait a year to 1.5 years to get your immune system back. It comes back within a week. I was over 2,000 white blood cells back. So within 6 months, you're back to normal, rather than waiting a year to 1.5 years if you didn't do the stem cells. So HSCT is only your stem cell only part of the treatment.
So you get your immune system wiped out, and then your own stem cells are put back in, and your immune system is rebuilt.
Basically, what we do is we give you a chemical to stimulate your stem cells from your bone marrow, and it brings the stem cells to your blood. Then we'd use what's called an apheresis machine, and we separate the stem cells from your blood. So it's kind of like a plasma transfer. One needle in one arm, one needle in the other arm. Blood comes into the machine, comes back out after the stem cells are extracted. We take those, we freeze those, store them. We then give you 4 treatments of chemotherapy, okay? And the chemotherapy, we keep monitoring you every time. You may not need all 4. If we get you down below a 200 count on your white blood cells, then we can give you, then you're going into what's called neutropenia, meaning that you are so low on your immune system that we can now rebuild it. So once we get you into that low part, get you into neutropenia, we give your stem cells back. Within a week, you're back to where you could travel. You could, we want you to stay home because we don't want you to get by some that's sick. Okay. But you can wear a mask. You can get on a plane. I flew out within a week after my treatment. Okay. And then the last thing we give you is rituximab. We give you a very high dose. Rituximab is very close to Ocrevus. It's the older version of Ocrevus. We give you 1 high dose of that because it's known for a very high inflammation block. It reduces inflammation. Okay. So we want you to go home with this feeling great. And that really helps a lot. Once you have that for about 3 to 6 months, I didn't even have dropping foot. Okay. Because we wiped out your inflammation as well. Okay. Now, that wears off for the 3 to 6 months, but you had that chance to start rebuilding your muscles in that time.
So Larry, one symptom we hear a lot in the MS community is drop foot. Could you explain to our audience what that is?
Yeah, so the best way to explain it is as if your leg's asleep and you can't control how fast it comes up and down. So as you're walking, your foot falls to the ground. It's not coming down normally like your foot that doesn't have dropping foot. So it's really hard. You can actually twist your ankle because of it. It's kind of like a foot that's asleep or a leg that's asleep. So your leg falls much faster than normal.
So for you today, talking to me, have you stopped the progression of the disease after HSCT?
100%. So I was at an EDSS score of 3.5 when I went in. When I was done, I was at 2.5. The only problem, and like with my hand, for example, I couldn't write a check, okay? I couldn't focus on business. I was going to have to quit my business, my company, okay? I now work out 3 days a week, and actually that was from you and I talking, and your best bed diets, your supplements, and your working out. You work out every day, I believe, right? Don't you work out 5 days a week or 6 days a week? Yeah, I work out 3 days a week, and I can now do a 70-pound dumbbell row, which I couldn't even hold the dumbbell in my hand before I went to get treatment. So
you went down this treatment. Now, for a lot of people in the community, there's a lot of fear around HSCT. People, you hear this expression that you go to Mexico, you're coming back in a body bag. Can you speak to that?
Of course I can. So every single person that went, let me give you my experience, okay? They kept saying, do you feel okay? Do you feel dizzy? Do you feel nauseated? No, I felt perfect the entire time. The last week, when you go into what's called neutropenia, that means you have no immunity system. And that last week, you do have to be careful. Don't be around people. Stay in your room, okay, in your hotel room. And get back to when your stem cells go back in, you go back to your immune system grows, okay? The only thing that happened to me is I stubbed my toe during that week, and I was joking that that's the only thing that happened as far as illness. Literally, every person was fine, sir. Here's the thing. Yes, people have died from it in the past, okay? But it's because they're doing too strong chemo. or they didn't check the person to see if they had another illness. If you have a heart problem or lung problem, I can't treat you. Our clinic, it's called Adia Med. We open.
Let's stop right there, because this is a big jump. So not only so you had the treatment, you saw it happen, success for other people.
Yes.
Okay. But you came back to the US and you took action to help other people be able to get that. So let's start with that. Why did you do that? What did you do?
Right. So when I got back, I felt like it was like I had to pay it forward. I was so grateful for being able to afford this and get the treatment done that I had to let other people know about HSCT or AHSCT. So I created a nonprofit, MS Heal the World. But we only had enough to help like 2 people and pay for some of the medications for some of the other people. So I was like, look, this is not doing what I wanted to do. It wasn't enough. Okay. I need to do more. So I acquired a publicly traded company. It's called Adia Nutrition. Okay. That company, like the reason I purchased it, the reason I'm the CEO and I own the control block of the public company is because now we can have insurance companies pay for that treatment. A lot of insurance companies will pay for AHSCT under the right circumstances.
This is a huge obstacle for people in the US in particular to get their insurance companies to consider HSCT. So if I'm out there listening to this and I want to consider this option, your website is msheal.org. It's msheal.org.
But that is for the nonprofit. What you would do, you would go to adiamed.com. So Adia Nutrition has 2 divisions, okay? One is the nutrition division, which is kind of what I'm doing, like your type of nutritions. We have supplements. A lot of it's for more bodybuilders. I have partners, Jeff Shulo from WWE. His name was Elias in WWE. He's my partner. AJ Simmons, who's a bodybuilder, he's my partner. So they have Cement Factory. That's some of the supplements that we sell. I have a coffee called BioElite Coffee that is a protein coffee because what we find is you need more proteins than you do carbs, right? I take my body weight in grams of protein daily, so I can maintain my weight and my energy. Okay, so that's the nutrition side. Adia Med is specifically designed for AHSCT for patients, and we have 3 doctors that are directors that are on the board. Okay, one is an oncologist. You require a cancer doctor to do this treatment. Okay. That oncologist he took the Russian model of the HSCT, okay? And he modified it to where it is now 100% outpatient. You don't go to hospital at all. You go to our clinic. And it's 21 days rather than 28 days to 30 days. So he's reduced the time and he's made it 100% outpatient. So when you go get your stem cells removed, you go to our clinic. We have an apheresis machine that removes your stem cells. We store them. We basically freeze them, store them, give you your chemo, and then give your stem cells back. That's all done.
So if I'm in the US, will your clinic also help me work with my insurance company to be able to facilitate this?
That's exactly what we do. So they're tougher than what they were, but I think it's going to get easier very soon. Now, the chemo is required to get your immune system removed, right? But what we also added to this clinic, and this is something I don't think you and I even talked about very much, we are now going to be using at studies umbilical cord stem cells. Okay. And actually I will be in January one of the ones at the clinic that we're using umbilical cord stem cells to try to repair my nerve damage.
Yeah, right? Now let's stop right there, because this is another interesting path I want to get into. And for our audience, if you don't know Larry is an incredible force at getting himself healed. And you are going above and beyond to try absolutely everything to get that droplet taken care of. Is that not true?
That is correct. So I've gone from exosomes. I spent tens of thousands of dollars taking exosomes that didn't work. I tried peptides. Okay, $9,000 worth of peptides. I tried acupuncture, chiropractic. I mean, if you name it, CCSBI, if you name it, I've tried it. Okay, even the Indian spices and supplements that were like $1,500. Everybody said, "Oh, that's not going to work." Well, it didn't work. All right.
Yeah,
So,
and for me, I mean, I meet people all over the world who are trying to recover from neurological symptoms, and I'm going to put you at the top of that leaderboard for like, you're going to get there. And I know when you get there, our whole community is going to benefit because you have such access to be able to try all these things and to learn about them. So let's go back to this new stem cell treatment that you're about to embark on to help that foot and recover those symptoms. And what are your expectations?
okay. So there are a lot of studies and trials already for MS patients that they're not doing HSCT. Okay. They're doing umbilical cord stem cell IVs. All right. And we have found, I have one doctor that he has 4 clinics in the US that he has treated over 150 MS patients. And he's saying some only get a 25% better, but some are in 100% better and they've reversed their MS. So it's a very interesting area. What we just found is a product that we're actually white labeling our own product. It's going to be called Adia, and it is 100 million umbilical cord stem cells and 3 trillion exosomes.
So you mentioned exosomes. What is that?
So stem cells secrete exosomes, okay? Exosomes are the communicators for stem cells, all right? And there's a lot more exosomes than there are stem cells, okay? In the case of the product that we're going to be using, there are 100 million stem cells, but 3 trillion with a T, exosomes. So those exosomes talk to the cells and the stem cells and tell them what to do. So they're the communicators. And when I was doing this, I was only taking about 15 billion exosomes. This is 3 trillion per treatment, and it's basically an IV. So you're gonna sit for about 30 minutes and take an IV of steroid, then the stem cells, then more saline. So it's very, very mild. It's not aggressive at all, and there's literally very minimal potential of any kind of reaction at all. Because remember, they're umbilical cord stem cell. They haven't been what's the word I want to use? They haven't been coated yet. There's no coating to them yet. So they can become nerves. They can become muscles. They can become a lot of things. So that's why it's so interesting. And
So
again,
let's talk about timeline then, because we are right on the ground with you right now, because I know this is coming up in the next few weeks. And if and I'm hoping you do have an incredible recovery here. What does that timeline look like for you? And then when can we check in with you again to educate our community about what happened here?
So right now I have 4 different patients that are coming, me being one of them, June 8th. Okay. And this will be the first, remember, we started this clinic today, open today. And we're taking patients as far as for AHSCT. It will take 3 to 6 months to get them through the process of getting them approved, make sure that they can handle this treatment before we even start. As far as the exosome side of it, though, the umbilical cord stem cells and exosomes, that we're doing right now. We're starting June 8th for 4 patients. One has neuropathy, one has a shoulder damaged, mine is my MS, and another one is actually for aging, that it has the potential. We can't say it does anything. We're not allowed. Okay, the FDA here does not allow us to say that umbilical cord stem cells can do anything. What we do say is that we've seen trials and that depending on the person, it could improve something. So it's called a study per person based. And I'm a study of my own. So the question is, I'm taking on January 8th. We should know within 30 days any improvement at all. Okay. And it takes time, over a year's time is when you keep getting more and more improved. Even with AHSCT, I've been improving the last 2.5 years. I've gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. I think the thing is, you have to continue your diet. Matt, if you go to my MS Heal website, it has your diet on it and your supplement program on it. The best bed diet, in my opinion, out of everything I've looked at, does work. And it's the best. First of all, you have to remember, high carbohydrates are bad for anybody. Okay? Processed foods, ultra processed foods are bad for anybody. So the belief is some of that actually can trigger MS, and your diet brings the balance back. That's the way I see it. It's balancing your body back to where it should be.
Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about stem cell therapy, there's a lot of questions about the ethics of it, especially in the US and the news. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So first of all, with AHSCT, we're using your own stem cells. So there's not really a question of that one. Nobody really is upset about that one because you're just taking your stem cells, storing them away. It happens for a lot of different types of cancer too. Leukemia, for example, they use donor stem cells. Okay. In this case, they're your own stem cells. So nobody really is upset about taking your own stem cells, put them away and put them back in your body. That's okay. The umbilical cord stem cells, people don't understand. They really, the way we get stem cells, the way ours that we're getting, they are from umbilical cords and from placenta. Okay. And it is a healthy baby that the parents basically sign a waiver says, so when you have a child, they say, do you want us to throw away the umbilical cord and the placenta, or do you want it, or do you want to give it to research? Well, over 90% of people give it to research. So they fill out all this information. It's all tested to make sure there's no diseases or anything. And then a healthy baby, they have the baby, then we take the umbilical cord and the placenta, and we take the blood from that, and we store it and use it for these treatments. So there's not, I think the biggest thing is they used to take the fetus and like a baby that passed away, and they were using that. Well, you can't use that. To me, that would be improper. But to take something that'd be thrown away anyway from a healthy baby, I don't see any reason you couldn't do that. I'm 100% for that, especially if it can help so many people.
So if I want to be considered by your clinic, do I have to be part of some sort of trial? Is there a history, a case study that I need to bring to you?
So no, there are no trial requirements. We are the only clinic in the United States that is doing AHSCT for MS without a trial. The problem with trials is they require you to have failed 2 GMTs. You have to be a certain age, okay? We don't have those requirements. We do require that we do a background on you. We get a copy of your MRIs to see what type of lesions you have. We really want you to have active lesions because we know it'll work if you have active lesions. So we do our own research on you, but there is no trial requirements at all.
So for you, if we look at the equation for you, you're doing the best bet diet, you're doing exercise, you've had HSCT, and now you're going to be trying another stem cell I'm not going to say, sorry, I correct myself. The injection of the umbilical cord stem cells to be able to heal. Is it your drop foot? And what other symptoms are you looking to get rid of?
So that's it. That's all I have for us. So when I left to Mexico, I could not, my whole left side was numb. I could not write a check, and I was foggy. I could not focus. I couldn't do math in my head. Okay. Since I've been back, the only problem I have left is I have my hip flexor and my calf. They can't react. My nerves, my mind can't tell my nerves, just like anybody with MS. My mind can't tell my muscles what to do in those 2 places. And that's it. So it's dropping foot. That's all I have. I can't run, and I would love to run again. You know, I did a half marathon years ago. I'd love to be able to do at least a half marathon again.
So how many patients around the world are reaching out to you right now?
We literally just started. For my MS Heal, I had probably 20 or 30 that wanted help, and we helped some of them get funding through like a GoFundMe program. We had some money to help some people. It just wasn't enough. So this one, we expect to have, we know there's 1.1 million Americans with MS, right? We know that there's 200 new diagnoses a week of MS, which is insane, right? It's gotten bigger. MS has gotten more people getting MS than ever before. All right. So I expect to be able to do, our goal is per clinic to do 20 patients a month per clinic. Okay. And we plan on having multiple clinics. We're hoping that doctors will contact us and say, hey, I'd like to take your protocol and do my own clinic. And great, we'll give you the protocol. We want as many doctors to do this as possible. Because it is, there is a risk, and don't get me wrong, there are people in the past who have died, but nobody's died in the last 2.5 years. And the thing is, it's a 95% success rate now. If we determine that you have active lesions, okay, and you don't have a heart problem, you don't have a lung problem, then you have a 95% chance of being in remission for the rest of your life. You know, Richard Burt, I don't know if you ever read his book, Everyday Miracles.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I met with Richard Burt a few months ago, and his work is what got everything started. It's amazing what we can do now compared to what we could do 16 years ago.
So how frustrating has this been for you navigating the system for yourself personally, and now try to do an outreach to people around the world to help them this way?
Right. So the biggest problem is the government. The FDA doesn't like anything we do. Luckily, because so I had to hire lawyers to give me their opinions and verify that I can do this legally, right? And that I can contact insurance companies to get it done. So what they basically end up with, the opinion says, because it's your own stem cells, okay, that we're putting back in your body, and chemo is very common for leukemia patients. Actually, there has been chemo treatments, mild chemo treatments outside of using your stem cells back in your body to treat MS. And there's tens of thousands of people that it works for. So we don't have to worry about the FDA for that. Now, the umbilical cord stem cell, they hate that. That's too new to them, okay? So the only way we can do it is as a study to see if it works for you. We can't say it's going to repair MS. We can't make that statement. We can say, let's try it. I'm trying on myself, okay? You can try it and see how it works for you. We cannot say that it will do anything. We're not allowed. You know, and there's a lot of other things that that umbilical cord stem cells can do. You know, that we just can't discuss. It may reduce Parkinson's problems. It may reduce aging, but we can't say that. We're not allowed.
So if I'm a patient out there and I'm listening to your story, you've had this incredible recovery. There's so much that you're doing. If I want to get a hold of you or your team to at least just discuss what my options are, how do I do that? What are my tangible steps?
Yeah, so you can call my cell phone if you want to call my cell phone, and I'll talk to you personally, because every person that has ever called or emailed from MS Heal the World, I've spoken to every one of them. Okay, so until I get to where I can't handle the calls anymore, I will take their calls. So they can call my cell phone at 321-231-2843. They can also go to our website, go to Adia, ADIA, med.com. And there's a form to fill out there. Our number's on there. So you can fill out a form and ask me questions. It's always better to talk to them than to email back and forth. But I get to hear their whole story and see what it is that I think we could do to help them. You know?
Now, would you be open to doing maybe a Zoom with us so we could, invite our patients just so you could share your story, and if people have questions, we could have that direct contact?
Absolutely, I would. Of course I would. Yeah, any way to get this out. My goal in the next month is to focus on a lot of MS blog and the National MS Society, and get as much information out as possible so we can get this thing going quickly. Because the faster we go, the more clinics I can open. We have the ability right now, our goal is to open 5 clinics in the next year, in the next 12 months. Okay, and I'm hoping we do more than that. If doctors contact me and say, hey, I'm willing to do this. I'm an oncologist. I already do leukemia patients, and this is much more mild than a leukemia patient. This is non-myeloablasive, meaning it does not affect your internal organs. It does not affect your bone marrow. Okay, where leukemia patients, you have to go to myeloablasive, and you have to basically destroy their entire body and bring them back. You don't have to do that here. We're only affecting your immune system. That's all the goal is.
Now, Larry, we've only known each other for about a couple of years now, and the number of things that you've done and gone out into the world to research and try is incredible. Again, for our MS community, Larry, you are out there leading the pack for us to be able to see new treatments, experiment with new things. For you, given everything that you know now, all the exposure you've had to top doctors and all these type of things, how long do you think it's going to be before that drop put for you is gone?
My goal, 3 months. My goal, if I'm right, I should not have dropped within 3 months. If the umbilical cord treatment does nerve repair, which it's possible, and from the doctor that I talked to, he states that a lot of his patients had dropping foot, and they don't have it anymore. So I'm very hopeful that it will work in the next 3 months. That's my hope.
And so, Larry, we are going to have to check in again with you again in, let's say, 4 months' time, because people are going to be watching your story. There's so many people around the world who are in your same position, and we can learn from what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Again, there are so many things that I looked at. Well, let's look at this as a theory. And it was Brandon Weber. Brandon Weber's a neurologist out of California. I think you're familiar with him. He does a lot of YouTube videos. Okay. 2 weeks ago, he posted 11 trials stating that normally in MS, they take the pyramid and they go from the bottom. They take the lowest strength treatment first, and then they go to the highest treatment. Okay. And that doesn't, all 11 trials showed you're starting at the highest treatment, which is AHSCT, and then work your way down. Okay. You don't work your way up because you're getting worse. If I would have gone a year earlier, I would not have dropping foot right now. Okay. So you can't keep waiting. With MS, it's nerve damage that keeps deteriorating your body. You start getting atrophy. It's hard to come back once you have that. If we can get it beforehand. So if we talk in the pyramid, right, we're talking AHSCT is number one. Then it's Lemtrada, then it's Ocrevus, and you keep going down the scale, right? You need to start with the number one. Okay. So I'm hoping that people will understand, if you have paralyzing conditions, you need to go to AHSCT first. Don't try Ocrevus, because Ocrevus it only blocks your B cells. It doesn't slow down your brain shrinkage. Okay. And they don't tell you these things, right? They don't tell you, oh, your brain's going to still keep shrinking. It doesn't stop that. It just blocks your B cells and reduces the chance of you getting more lesions. It just slows it down. It doesn't stop it completely.
So the question for me personally is, why are you doing this? You've got, you've been lucky to be able to have the access. Why are you out there fighting for our community?
Well, so the answer is because, well, first, my brother, my second oldest brother, he has multiple sclerosis. Had it 50 years so far. He's had 50 years. My cousin has multiple sclerosis. My aunt had multiple sclerosis. To me, I was fortunate that I could afford to go get this treatment and do all the research and figure this out. So I've got to pay it forward. I was told I'd be in a wheelchair within 3 to 5 years. Okay. And I don't use a cane or anything. I just have a dropping foot. I mean, I can still move just like normal. You just notice my legs a little slower than the rest. So the answer is, I need to pay it forward because I am so grateful for not being a wheelchair.
Larry, I want our audience to also know, I mean, you're also a modest guy. I mean, you've done so much to help us too. So just so our audience knows, Larry came in to help us with Living Proof 3 to be able to shoot that and to be able to share stories. I personally know you've reached out and helped patients who worked with us. As well as sharing your story. You worked with us to help people with the muscular acoustic modulation. I know you worked with a clinic overseas to be able to help them to get that. I just want to personally thank you for your contribution then and now. And your story going forward is going to be so important as we watch you rehabilitate, because I believe we're going to see you heal. And through that, we're going to be able to share that information with others.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying it. I think well, let's put it this way. I'm not going to ever give up because I believe that there is a cure for everything, right? We just have to find it. I mean, you're doing amazing work. You're looking at the Vivatus Epstein-Barr, right? And you're trying to find. So here's what I can tell you I've learned in this last, 2.5 years of research. You are correct. Every single patient, 100% of MS patients have Epstein-Barr. You're absolutely correct. Okay. What we're finding is, why is it that Canada and the US has more cases of MS than the entire world combined? Why is that? It's because of the foods that the additives in the foods that we're allowed to consume. Okay. Canada only recently got stricter on their requirements for their additives. Okay. In the United States, there's over 5,000 additives in our food that are considered food. They're preservatives, they're antibiotics, they're steroids. I believe between your body having the DNA to get MS, I believe having Epstein-Barr, and I believe everything in your diet has what's triggered that. That's what I believe.
Yeah. And I think, and again, as we move forward over the next few months with MS Hope and where we're going, it's testing and finding out whether Epstein-Barr is if it's an ongoing infection that's driving this disease. And there needs to be research in this area. The challenge for us is, we're talking millions of dollars to be able to raise to test that. But like you, I'm optimistic we can do it. And for us, that's that next phase. How are we going to test this theory?
Right. Agreed.
And
Yeah.
it's sometimes hard for me to understand why it's not being done. But it's
Well,
that same frustration point I'm sure you feel with the HSCT.
it is. It's to me, I think, and I hate to say it this way, but I think between the government and pharmaceuticals, they don't care as much as we care. They really don't. They're more like, hey, if we can give you a pill, you take, like Ocrevus. Ocrevus costs around $100,000 a year per patient, 50,000 every 6 months. That's insane. Okay, so why would they possibly want to give you a less expensive pill that could block Epstein-Barr? Okay, and you're done with MS. They don't want that. That's my belief is that people like you and I are going to find the cure, not pharmaceuticals or government. It's going to be people like you and I, Matt.
Well, and that's one thing, one of the final points I want to touch on is the MS community is a very unique community. We're in with this disease for a long period of time. We're closely connected on social media. What's your experience been with that?
So I haven't had as many. You've been doing this a lot longer than me, and with your documentaries, I have probably 10,000 followers. I don't have that many followers. I think I have certain people that really are like me and you that really research hard, and that's who contacts me. I just don't think that many people are reaching out to me as I wish they would, because there's a lot of things we can talk about. Again, you're doing great with your best bet diet, with supplements and exercise. I think that to them is easier for them to understand and do than something like AHSCT or something like umbilical cord stem cells. It's a lot harder to relate to and say, well, do I really want to go this way? So there was a 16-year-old that we assisted, okay?
Yeah.
And she was getting paralyzed, right? She went to Mexico, had AHSCT, and she is now in remission, and she's perfect. If you catch it younger, so remember, my stem cells, when I had it done, I was 58 years old. My stem cells were 58 years old. Okay. She was 16. Her stem cells were 16-year-old. You get rid of her immune system, give her new stem cells or her stem cells back, and now she can completely recovered. She can actually get her nerve damage repaired because she's young enough for that to happen. The older you get and the longer you wait with the illness, the harder it is to get repaired. That's the problem. So
that has been part of my message. You have to get after things today. And that's just how this works.
Yep. And your first steps are exactly right. Changing your diet is number one. Being active. What's the saying? Use it or lose it, right? That's the saying. So if you don't try to move those muscles, even though I know you can't, it's so weird when you have MS, because I know when you were 19, you were paralyzed for a period of time too, correct?
Not paralyzed. They're neurologically.
Neurological.
Yeah.
All right. So it is so hard to, in a case of having a muscle reaction, you can't make, it's like your foot fell asleep and you can't move your foot. You want to, you think your mind can tell you to do it. It can't do it. So you have to keep trying to make it do it. It's so hard for people to understand that you have to really struggle hard to get better. Okay. And you have to. It's like what I see Michael is really fighting to get better.
Mm-hmm. So when we talk about Michael, we're talking about Michael and Leilani, a story that we've been following for a very long time now. And Michael's been struggling with severe disability and seeing some very impressive outcomes with the addition of the Best Bet diet, as well as muscular acoustic modulation.
He was bedridden. I've seen him and his wife. They're active. They're constantly doing something to improve him. That's what I want to see. I want to see every patient get better in some fashion.
Yeah, well, and yesterday at breakfast, and I had the chance to have breakfast with Michael and Leilani yesterday, and we talked about you. We talked about your story and watching where you're going to go, and maybe this is going to be the path we explore. And I don't think I'm alone in people watching this podcast, really interested to see where things go with you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like I said, I've read, so far there's been 7 different trials that I've read about getting umbilical cord injection for MS. And then again, the most interesting part was the doctor that I talked to 2 weeks ago. He has 4 clinics in the US that does this. And he has over 150 MS patients that he has helped. So it's got to be doing something, so what is that something? I'll let you know within the next 3 to 4 months.
What does the word hope mean to you?
So, good question. So hope is I want to say the word hope. It is the idea that there is a possibility. Anything is possible, right? That's what hope means, right? And anything is possible. Understand, I honestly believe I can think better now than I did before 2.5 years ago. I am focused on so many things like getting this clinic open. You know how hard it is to convince doctors to do this treatment? I got 3 doctors to do it. Okay. To open the clinic up, to get the right equipment, the apheresis machine. There's only 2 companies in the country that make this machine. We'll be only one of 3 clinics that have an apheresis machine, the stem cell extraction machine. We only one of 3 in the country. The hospitals have it, but clinics don't have it. And you had to learn all these things. You had to figure all this out.
Well, Larry, thank you so much for your time. This has been a big education piece for me and hopefully for our community. We're going to check in with you in about 3 to 4 months. Wishing you the absolute best, and thank you for sharing your story.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thanks for inviting me again. Take care.
Thanks for joining us. Hope and Health is made possible through generous donations. To learn more or support the show, visit mshope.com, where you'll find free science-based resources.